Do you have shared goals? If you do, does everybody remember the shared goals? If they do they believe that they're achievable? Because I find that finger pointing happens more often than not when people know that they're not going to hit the goals, and now it shifts to self-preservation.
Welcome to another episode of Business Lunch where Matt is leaving the room as we start the podcast. He had an opportunity when we ended the last podcast to leave the room quietly, but now he's chosen to get up here and leave the room noisily. And I just want to point that out on this podcast.
Yeah, it's important that everybody know that we do have a team behind this show, and frequently they just leave us hanging.
Yeah. So thanks, Matt. No.
Yeah,
anyway,
screw it. We'll do it on our own. We're doing it live.
I wanted to talk for a minute about something that came up recently. So in one of the companies that we acquired part of in one of the businesses that we've got, we have had some post-integration kind of challenges. And part of it was that we did a deal where the original company, it was basically 50% acquisition of another company that was a significant company, doing great CEO and great team. And we had a meeting recently, and it was really, it was an interesting meeting because we had two teams that are very, very loyal to their companies. And it had gotten into a situation where there was finger pointing, maybe some kind of snarky emails and messages going back, but not a regular meeting schedule and not a full realization that we were on the same team. And so it was an interesting time because it took a little bit of coaching. So I went into a meeting that was a little charged with energy on it. And both of the, like I said, both of the companies, they're good people at the companies. They're reasonable people. They're nice people. I think that they're both happy that they're working with each other, but you can, with communications, if your mind is not in the right place in terms of like, where does this all sit? Then you might accidentally build up some resentment or some energy around some negativity that doesn't need to be there. And so I thought it'd be kind of interesting to talk about in any situation from a communications standpoint, mindset wise, thinking about where do you sit when you are having interactions with all the different people that you're interacting with, whether it's in a personal relationship, whether it is in a intra company within your own company or inter company relationships. But I'm going to start it with the probably the most removed, which would be you are in a company and you're meeting with another company that you now have kind of come together. And that could be through a merger or an acquisition or whatever, but you've really got two cultures, two brands, and there's a little bit of friction in kind of getting together. To me, like the very first thing that I opened the meeting with, I said, listen, I want everybody here, particularly because they were saying, well, they said, and, at that company and blah, blah, blah. I said, we have to realize this is our company. This is our company. Like, we're all here because we have this company that we own together. And we need to be aligned in that it's not, he said, she said, they said, we said. It is, look, we've got some challenges that we know that exist. And our goal isn't to point fingers and say they need to fix that. There is no they. There's only we. And if we're actually thinking about getting to where we want to get, and we truly believe it's our company, and then I went around, I was like, it's our company. Yeah, it's our company. Okay, great. So let's get our language right off the beginning, because there's a lot of people just glean over the language stuff, and they don't think about, the words of they versus we. And I said, so let's talk about we. And a couple of people caught themselves as we went through the meeting. And and then the first part of that was, own your own your stuff, right? So there were things that that the one company was saying, well, we don't have this and this and this, and I asked, the people in the other company, I said, so is that true? And they're like, yeah, I mean, this and that, and they're like, okay, well, let's start with that. Let's start with what can we give in this situation so that we are coming in with clean hands, so that we're not trying to, cram some agenda that we've got down these other people's throat. And by the way, that was my second question, would this ownership of these things and saying, yeah, we need to do that, would that be good for this company that we own together? And the answer is absolutely yes. And like, okay, so maybe it wouldn't necessarily be the best thing in the world for this company because it means we've got to put some cash over here. But don't we owe the cash there? Yeah. Okay. Well, shouldn't we put it over there? Yeah. Well, they hadn't asked for it, and blah blah blah. Okay, who cares if they ask for it? It either is supposed to be there or it isn't. So I think the first thing too is let's say this is not any. There's no side to this. I hate that. Our side thinks. Never allow that language to enter the discussion. And then the second thing is how much of our own stuff can we own in our relationship? When I'm with my wife, I'm going to own my mistakes, right? You've got to do that to come in with, like I said, clean hands is a legal term where if there's equity, which is kind of what's right, and somebody is inequitable, they've done something that's wrong, they've kind of got dirt on their hands, so you need to come in with clean hands. And I think that's a really great way to come into having any discussion, because this is a meeting that was framed to me as, I don't know what's going to happen, and this is going to be really hard, and I hope it doesn't blow up and stuff like that. And it's like, why would it blow up? If we can say that we're together, and then we can say there's some things that aren't right, but we need to fix those, and we're all willing to do that, then there's no reason to be concerned it's going to blow up, because why would it, right? And we left the meeting with great outcomes, right? So I just thought it would be kind of interesting to talk about that in across personal relationships within a company, cultural and communications, like interdepartmental, but intra-company, and then inter-company, and throw it out there and see what your thoughts were about it.
Well, I mean, the first thing is that, like you said, that anytime you've got them, us, what that tells me is that you don't have a shared goal or a shared mission. Either there isn't a clear shared goal or mission between these teams, and you see this happen a lot within different teams and departments. So you see this a lot with sales and marketing. Yeah, it happens all the time. And it's, well, we generated the leads, and it's like, and then sales like, oh, but we couldn't close those leads because the lead sucks, or yeah, but and so, so a tactical solution for that is we need to have some shared metrics and some shared goals. And you have similar things between very oftentimes like a product team and sales teams, or the services team, because sales might overpromise, and then products like, what are you doing? We can't deliver on that. Like, we don't even do that. That's not something we do. Why do you keep telling me?
You guys need to give us the stuff that we can sell.
Exactly. It's like, you need to sell the stuff we've already built. And so in all of these things, it's getting really, really clear on, do we have a shared goal that everybody has played a role in helping to set? And not necessarily everybody in the team, but at least all the functional leaders, so that if their team members start getting chippy, and chirpy, they can be like, no, y'all, we got to do our part too, which goes back to the clean hands. So I think the shared goals is a big part of it. And so usually when that happens in teams, there either wasn't a shared goal established ahead of time. There were siloed goals that were all established that people thought would essentially align, but it was never really made clear. Here's how these siloed goals, all line up to the big goal. And it's not okay for one team to win but us to miss and to lose the goal. Like, you think about a sports team, okay, you won the MVP award and that's amazing, but we lost the championship. So you don't get to go over there and celebrate your MVP trophy while the rest of your team, is licking their wounds because we lost the championship game. So, Yep, we're going to have a bunch of different team goals. That's amazing. Keeps everybody on track, but we're all in pursuit of the broader goal that we all share. So either that broader goal wasn't established, it wasn't reinforced by leadership so that people were allowed to forget it, or nobody believes they're going to hit it. And that's what I see happen time and time again. Nobody thinks they're going to hit it for whatever reason. And it's when people know that the goal that everybody said and agreed to isn't going to be hit, that's when the COIA cover your, butt, starts happening. And sometimes you got to acknowledge that. Hey, everybody, let's go back to our goal. Let's go back to the goals. Why aren't, so do you have shared goals? If you do, does everybody remember the shared goals? If they do they believe that they're achievable? Because I find that finger pointing happens more often than not when people know that they're not going to hit the goals, and now it shifts to self-preservation. They're afraid. It's Lord of the Flies time.